Today we are talking about episode 3 of the Addams Family 1964 sitcom, Fester's Punctured Romance. Honestly, I am always here for a Fester romance episode. It's so funny to me because Fester has this really, really weird reputation of being like a weirdo he's weird. He's not like other people. He's different. He's so unusual. Women would never like him, but he's always getting a new girlfriend or a new hottie. Like in the movie, Debbie is everything. I love her. She's like one of my favorite characters of all time. And so I'm always here for a Fester romance episode. My hypothesis for this episode is this how we first meet Debbie. All right, let's get started by actually dissecting this episode then.
Do you think you did the right thing by joining that Zen Yogi society?
Obviously. Nothing more important than physical culture.
We start off the episode with Morticia and Gomez doing their thing. She's knitting, he's doing yoga, and also this, I think, the first time we actually see him be very physically active. Gomez is known for being physically active, and he's like on his head. He's doing like a handstand, or I think that's what they call it, a handstand. Either way, he's doing that, and this is very much how they start a lot of the episodes off of. They're doing their normal thing, which happens to be very abnormal for us, but this is kind of like their normal go-to start-off point.
I wish you'd get Uncle Fester to join up.
We can already tell that they're going to be setting up the episode to be very Fester-centric because Morticia's saying, "I wished you could have Uncle Fester come join you," and Gomez says, "Uncle Fester's acting a little different." I wonder if this is kind of like in the last episode where Pugsley was acting different. Are we going to find out that Fester is now a Eagle Scout? I don't think so. From the title of the episode, I'm going to guess he's on the prowl for a date.
I won't.
I'll wait for you in the conservatory.
Okay, but like, why was that like hot? They were like, "I'll wait for you." It's like, ooh, okay, pop off. Like, Gomez and Morticia are very much known for their like intimacy like that, but it's like, that was like, okay. We then see Fester getting the newspaper, which honestly, I feel like this is going to be the actual inciting incident of the episode. This is going to be kind of what is setting off a lot of things. I'm going to guess he's getting into dating. Like he's putting in like an ad or something.
Uncle Fester. Thank you, Thing.
Thing seems to know that something is going on with Uncle Fester. And as usual, as we'll see this later on in other adaptations of the Addams Family, is that like Fester and Thing have like a very weird, tumultuous like friendship. As we see in like Wednesday, they used to like rob banks together, I believe, or something like that. And so it's interesting to see them already setting up that Thing would kind of like tell on Fester when Fester's doing something kind of sketchy.
Morticia, I must tell you, Uncle Fester is not himself.
Oh? Is that bad?
Maybe not. But he has been interfering with the children's upbringing lately. Against my express wishes, he promised little Pugsley a Gila monster.
Darling, it's healthy for children to have pets.
Gila monsters?
Why not?
They're so...
So Gomez tells Morticia that he's worried about Fester spoiling the children, which I find very interesting because in the last episode, Fester had a lot to say about them spoiling the children. Now all of a sudden he's going to buy Pugsley a Gila monster? Fester, make up your mind. Are they spoiled or are they not?
Uncle Fester got me. He had it made especially for me.
The Black Widow Spider Village.
Isn't that lovely?
Just like a society of small humans.
Yeah, they do nothing but fight.
That's life.
He also purchased Wednesday a village for her Black Widow spiders. And honestly, I think this is so cute because they're like, it's just like humans. She's like, yeah, they fight all the time. I thought it was cute. I think her little performance was adorable.
Yes. Very interesting. Come in.
Was that you talking to yourself, Uncle Fester?
You've been doing that quite a bit lately.
Well, only when I'm alone.
So they go to check in on Fester, and he's talking to himself, which he only does when he's alone, which is fair. And they're worried about him because he is acting so out of character. But he is still looking at that newspaper.
I've been spoiling the children. I guess I like to feel wanted.
But you are wanted.
And needed.
Needed? You wouldn't even let me fix that leak in the roof. And my finger fitted perfectly.
So the reason he's spoiling the children is because he wants to feel needed, which honestly I think does play into the larger canon of the whole series. In the last episode, he was noticing that Pugsley and Wednesday were being spoiled, so he now sees this as a good way to get their affection and get more attention from the children, because he wasn't getting that before, which we did discuss in the last episode, is that Fester is kind of struggling to be relevant, and so that's why he's telling people his opinions when they don't ask. And so I think this is a good sign that we are starting to see Fester is feeling a bit kind of left out.
What about you? There was a time you'd never think of using your electric shaver without connecting it to me.
Well, Gomez felt you'd been a bit run down lately.
Also, it appears Gomez is no longer attaching his electric razor to Fester. Fester is the electric source of the house, and he's not using Fester anymore. Of course Fester's upset. Of course Fester's feeling like he's not useful anymore. But in Gomez's defense, he does feel like Fester is being overused, and he's trying to protect him. On some level, it's very sweet that he cares this much.
I've been scanning the Lonely Hearts column.
You haven't.
You sly old fox, you.
Well, under the circumstances, I thought I'd take a bride.
So Fester tells Gomez and Morticia that he's been checking the Lonely Hearts ad in the paper and that he is going to take a bride. I also love Gomez's response, because I feel like this is a very similar response to what Gomez has in the second film when Fester goes after Debbie. I think he even says those exact words, "You sly fucks." Like, I like that that's kind of like just the way Gomez is always going to talk. Like, "You sly fucks, you sly dog." Like, I like that's some continuity the character always has.
You'll be fighting the women off with clubs.
Clubs? Yeah.
Why was he so excited about that? I don't love that. But Morticia does tell Fester that he will be fighting women off once he puts himself out there. I always like that they always go out of their way to tell Fester that he is such a catch. That's honestly, it's good to build people up.
Oh, Gomez. This morning when I woke up and the sky was all dark and cloudy, I knew right then and there that this was going to be a lovely day.
Fester goes off to write his letter to the Lonely Hearts ad, and Morticia and Gomez say that, wow, today's turning out better than I thought. Oh, I had no idea it could be such a beautiful day.
I am looking forward to meeting someone of the opposite sex with these same qualities. Signed, Modesty. Got it? Excellent. You have a very delicate handwriting.
Despite Thing telling on Fester in the beginning of the episode, we do get to see Thing now writing the letter for him. Fester makes out his letter and gets ready to send it off, also telling us that Thing has a very delicate handwriting. Gomez then takes the photos of Fester. These photos are difficult because Fester's still smiling, and they have to tell him, no, show that Addams charm, no smiling.
Magnificent.
As usual, Carolyn Jones is slaying. Give us strength. Stunning. She's like, oh, stunning. I love her so much. And then we ended with the actual shot being taken, and it's a big explosion. Everybody looks a mess.
He once went with a girl who looked like a walrus.
Darling, beauty isn't everything.
You're right. He's talking about moving after the wedding. He's found a home in a nice condemned section.
I wonder what their children will be like.
Doesn't matter about the boys. But I hope the girls look like Uncle Fester.
So we come back to the house. It's clearly been a couple days. Gomez and Morticia are discussing what they hope Fester's family will look like, what his bride will look like. Will they have children? They hope the girls look like Fester.
I do wish Grandpa Squint and Aunt Vendetta were still alive. They get such a thrill out of the wedding.
Darling, they are alive.
They are. They don't look it.
Morticia says she wishes their grandparents were alive to see this. Gomez tells her they are. And she says they don't look it. She went for the throat on that, and I love that. Honestly, that's one of my favorite things about Morticia's performance is how she just, like, randomly will say one-liners that are just like, whoa.
Can't you tell?
A new collar.
Certainly not. How can you improve on genuine match gopher?
You're parting your hair, No, that can't be it.
Come on, take a real close look.
I've got it. You've had your head waxed.
Yeah.
Fester is now waxing his head, getting ready to find love. Slay.
I wanted to show you the present I have for him. You like it?
But, darling, I don't see anything.
You're not supposed to. Uncle Fester says it's the thought that counts. I'm thinking of a nice, friendly cobra.
That right there is intelligence. She knows the thought is what counts, so she has a great thought for a gift. And she saves herself the trouble of having to wrap it. Very clever.
Uncle Fester, you must give it time. It's only been one day.
I was sure I'd get an immediate response. I gave a very full description of my...
It's been a whole day and there's no response. Fester's starting to get discouraged. The family has been encouraging a lot of wedding talk and stuff like that, but there's been no response despite him putting a full description of himself in the letter.
Hello.
Well, hello there. Is your mother home?
Are you from the health department?
Why?
The neighbors complained about Aristotle getting loose.
Aristotle. What an odd name for a dog.
Not for an octopus.
It looks like a door-to-door saleswoman has just come through the gate. She talks to Wednesday a little bit. I can't help but feel like we all know where this is going. Honestly, I feel like this is very much the first sign we're getting of like a Debbie-esque character. I don't assume this woman's going to be a Black Widow, but you never know.
She's here. She didn't even bother to write. She just packed a bag and came in person.
Uh-oh, miscommunication. Addams Family hijinks will ensue. They assume the saleswoman is the woman that Fester wrote the letter to.
Way down deep inside where it really counts, she's one of us.
Oh, no. There's no chemistry. She doesn't do anything for me. Our life together would be a mockery.
This is one of the things I always kind of hate about Fester, though, is that he's very shallow. He doesn't even get time to take time to learn who this woman is. And he's already like, not for me, not my type. Look at her. Fester, come on. Give her a chance. Maybe she's kooky and altogether ooky.
How do you do, Mrs. Addams? I'm Miss Carver. Yes. Won't you come in? Well, thank you.
Morticia convinces Fester to give her a chance, and she lets the woman in. Because at the end of the day, Morticia is a very pleasant person, and she is very friendly.
Looks like you're preparing for some...
The saleswoman comes in and sees their interesting decor, and she thinks they might be having a party. What kind of party do you think this is a theme for? I'm just curious.
Oh, and don't tell me. That gentleman behind you is Uncle Fester. I know from the description I've received.
You can't force me.
Of course, the hijinks and the misunderstanding goes even further because when the saleswoman first came into the front yard, Wednesday told her about the family, including a description of Uncle Fester. So when she sees Uncle Fester hiding, she goes, oh, that must be Uncle Fester. I know from the description. And now Fester's like, you can't make me marry you. I don't want to. You don't know me.
Just gentle persuasion. And sometimes in difficult cases, I merely give a free sample and leave the prospect to think it over.
Miss Carver, we don't countenance such behavior in this house.
For a saleswoman offering samples, that's a fair thing to say. But if you think it's a woman you've never met who you send a letter to coming in saying she'll offer you some free samples or she'll take cash, that's hilarious. I also love how outraged they are by this. They don't pay. They don't pay.
I believe that we can quickly convince you that your visit here is quite hopeless.
Oh, don't say that. Very difficult, yes, but certainly not hopeless.
The saleswoman is going to get her bag. She is going to get some money. She is not making house calls for nothing. She's going to get paid. Morticia's like, this is hopeless. We're not looking for this anymore. You're not the right woman for Fester. She agrees with Fester. This is not the right woman. For different reasons, though. I do like that Morticia had to get to know the woman to be like, no, I don't want him to have to pay or whatever with this lady. She's too forward for someone like Fester. Fester was being shallow, but at least Morticia took time to not like the woman first.
Oh, I should say. Why, I could make a new man of him entirely. I have a 90-day plan that works wonders.
So whatever, I think she's a makeup saleswoman. So she thinks she can make him a new man in 90 days. It only takes 90 days to make him look like a whole new man, which I think if we want to make a connection that she could have been the original Debbie archetype character, Debbie does essentially change Fester into looking like a whole new man, but it doesn't take her a whole 90 days. It's just like one vacation, one honeymoon. So in theory, this could be the very first kind of time we see a character who's going to like Debbie who kind of could do it. But this woman is a makeup salesperson, so it makes sense that she could give him a whole new look within the next 90 days.
Not make over. Just enhance and bring out the basic attractiveness which you already have in such abundance.
Oh, you poor thing. You have it bad.
I like this woman is just trying to make this sale, and so she's being slightly flirtatious, because, I mean, that's a sales tactic for sure. But it does look like she is being, like, kind of thirsty. Pop off.
Uncle Fester, I think we may have judged Miss Carver too hastily.
I can't stand her.
She's crazy about you, old boy.
Darling, you could make her over a little. Get her a decent wardrobe.
Morticia and Gomez try to convince Fester to give her a chance. With a little bit of a makeover, they can make her, you know, a little bit more like his type. It won't take much work. Probably less than 90 days.
I want to get married. I guess my standards are just too high.
You led her on. Now you go in and be nice to her. She's probably in an agony of doubt.
Fester then starts having cold feet. He is not ready to be married. He was too hasty sending off that letter. He's not really ready for marriage. And Morticia tells him he has to go talk to the woman. She must be in pure agony.
She's quite right. Young lovers should be alone.
Young lovers? I'm getting out of here.
She finally realizes that they think that she's there for like a lover's rendezvous, and she's ready to leave. She doesn't want that.
She was a very vain woman. That case was full of nothing but cosmetics. And no taste. Not a bit of baking powder.
They think they dodged a bullet because she's a very vain woman. Her whole box was just full of makeup products, not any baking soda.
Information wanted, Ed, by that Miss Carver.
I suppose she decided against marriage.
Some people just don't have it.
You were very lucky, Uncle Fester.
Sure, what?
Anyway, the episode ends. All's well that ends well type of ending. They're all back to their things. Morticia is knitting, Gomez is doing his yoga, and now Fester has joined in. They read the newspaper, and it does appear that this woman has gone back to selling makeup, or gone to selling makeup, which they didn't know she was doing, so they think she's given up on love altogether just to be a businesswoman. All's well that ends well, as usual. Do I think this character is supposed to be Debbie? No. Do I think that she's definitely an archetype for what stories we would see later on in the series for Fester finding love with people who may or may not be as they appear? Yes. So my answer to this hypothesis, I don't think she's actually Debbie. I just think it's a very much the very first signs of seeing a story that is going to teach us more about Fester getting out there and finding love and playing around with his interests when it comes to a love interest or a spouse. Anyway, that was episode 3 of the Addams Family. Make sure you subscribe and like for more content just like this. Bye. Da 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 dum. Da 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 dum. Da da dum. Da 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 dum. Da 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 dum. The creepy and the kooky, they're all together. Ooky, mysterious and spooky. The Addams Family. Da 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 dum. Da 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 dum. Da 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 dum. Da da dum. You know the one. Everyone knows that song. At least I hope you do.